Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom. It is said that after God created the world, he had to fill it with people. So God sent off an angel with two sacks, one full of wise souls and one full of foolish ones, to be distributed equally in various communities. But while the angel was flying over Chelm, one of the sacks became caught on the top of a mountain, and all of the foolish souls spilled out and fell into Chelm. There's a story about the citizens of Chelm who used to spend a good deal of time worrying. So much time, in fact, that they soon began to worry about how much they worried. The Grand Council of Wise Men convened a meeting to discuss all this worrying and to find a solution for it. For 7 days and 7 nights, the wise men of Chelm discussed the problem until finally the chairman announced a solution. Yosela, the chimney sweep, would be the official Chelm worrier. In return for 1 ruble a week, he would do the worrying for everyone in Chelm. The Grand Council members all agreed that this was the ideal solution. But just before the vote was taken, one of the sages rose to speak against the proposal. Wait a minute, he announced. If Yosela to receive 1 ruble a week, then what would he have to worry about? Our lives are filled with worry and stress. We rush around our daily schedules from appointment to appointment, from errand to errand, trying to get everything done in the little time we have, picking up the kids here, dropping them off there, seeing this client at that time and that client at this one, rushing from appointment to appointment, hoping not to be late, that the traffic will cooperate, and that things will run smoothly. We worry about deadlines and proposals to be accepted. We worry about our health and the health of our kids. There's now even a health warning about a dog parasite coming from the Okanagan Valley in BC that can be fatal to a pet. Something else to worry about. We worry about making ends meet, paying our bills, and putting something away for a rainy day or for the future. Even the news makes us worry. Global warming, the hole in the ozone layer, the pending environmental nightmare that haunts us, and now COVID-19. Political instability around the world, especially in Eastern Europe and the Middle East. Free trade, the global economy, Japanese exclusivism and protectionism, Chinese economic dominance, and the US markets. Decline in education and funding for social services, the alarming state of healthcare, and the unbelievable amount of government waste and overspending. The deficit. Oy, where's the Alka-Seltzer? There's an old quip that says, I was feeling lonely and down when out of the gloom came a voice saying, cheer up, things could be worse. So I cheered up and, sure enough, things got worse. Even though the Torah teaches do not set a stumbling block before the blind, we often feel that there are insurmountable obstacles placed before us, veritable mountains of difficulty to climb and overcome. The lyrics from the song, Don't Worry, Be Happy, ring empty in our ears. And the irony of Mad Magazine's Alfred E. Newman with his What, me worry motto brings only a cynical smirk to our lips. Reality, we know, is far more stressful and worrisome. An old Hebrew proverb observes, it's tough being a Jew. Or as Jim Henson's puppet, Kermit the Frog, used to sing, it's not easy being green. Our Torah reading for this Shabbat begins with the verse from Leviticus, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe Behar Sinai. And the Lord spoke to Moses in Mount Sinai. It is from this phrase that we take the name for this week's reading, Bahar, meaning in the mountain. It is the first half of this double portion of Behar-Bechukotai. It recognizes that mountains have always been viewed as obstacles when, in fact, great things have occurred atop mountains. Indeed, mountains play a very important role in Jewish history. The Ark of Noah came to rest on the mountaintop of Ararat. Abraham and Isaac confronted God on Mount Moriah, which later became the site of the first and second temples. Moses spent 2 40-day periods on Mount Sinai. Elijah the prophet faced the priests of Baal and triumphed in the name of God on Mount Carmel. The prophetess Devorah met the enemy atop Mount Tabor and was victorious. As the mystic poet William Blake once said, "Great things are done when men and mountains meet." Perhaps that is why we find the protecting words of Psalm 121 so comforting in our times of trouble or distress. Esa einai el harim, me'ain yavo ezri, ezri me'im Hashem oseh shamayim va'aretz. I will lift my eyes towards the mountains. What is the source of my help? The source of my help is the Lord, creator of heaven and earth. The centrality of mountains in our tradition teaches us of their importance in our lives. They teach us that we must be willing to climb mountains to make the most out of our lives. Whether the mountains we climb are spiritual or physical, only at the top do we have the privilege to take in the great view. We must have the courage and stamina to face the challenge of life, whether they are raising a family, working toward a promotion, confronting emotional hardships or setbacks, facing daunting tasks, or just making it through the day. As the great Black American educator and author Booker T. Washington points out, success is not measured by the heights one attains, but by the obstacle one overcomes in its attainment. No doubt, mountain climbing is hard, but when we reach our goal, we see something magnificent and exhilarating. Emotionally, mountain climbing brings out the best in us. It elevates the soul above the plane of the commonplace to wider horizons. Rabbi Bernard Raskus of St. Paul, Minnesota, points out that people who live on the plains tend to be a little quieter and more relaxed than those who live on the side of a mountain. To live on the side of a mountain is to be challenged by the elements, to climb the mountain to get home, to take a person willing to face hardships. From time immemorial, mountains have been a challenge to humanity. Throughout history and literature, mountains represent mighty obstacles to overcome. When Sir Edmund Hillary succeeded in climbing Mount Everest, the highest mountain on the face of the earth, he was asked why he did it. His response? Because it was there. There are always seemingly insuperable mountains that loom on the horizon of our lives. These mountains are meant to be climbed and overcome. These mountains challenge us to rise to the call, muster the strength, and reach for the unreachable. To go for the brass ring, to grow in ways that we never thought possible. These mountains beckon us not to live on the monotonous, level, unexciting plains, but to face the challenge, the excitement, the exuberance of the mountains. Without mountains, we would not scale new heights of achievement, personal, physical, emotional, and spiritual. Our Torah reading, Behar, in the mountain, teaches us that when we are in the mountain, when we encounter obstacles in our lives, to view them not as stumbling blocks, but as opportunities for growth and development, as ways to make ourselves better, more caring and sensitive human beings, ennobled and matured by the challenges met and conquered. Our Torah reading challenges us to lift our eyes to that mountain and find inner strength. As the poet Arthur Gitterman wrote, God gave me hills to climb and the strength for climbing. Our Torah reading beckons us to see life as a mountain just waiting to be climbed. It encourages us to begin the ascent and no matter what happens, to keep climbing. That same poet, Arthur Gitterman, writes further, God's road is uphill and man climbs slowly. But you and I both know that climbing is the only way to get to the top. Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe Behar Sinai. And the Lord spoke to Moses in Mount Sinai. God spoke to Moses, and the mountain gave him the guidance and direction he needed to face the hardships and challenges that lay ahead. Let us also find the voice of God within us, within the personal mountains facing us, so we, like Moses, may find the guidance and direction we need to face the hardships and challenges that lie ahead for us, and so we may triumphantly scale the peaks before us and gaze upon the magnificent view just waiting to be seen. Shabbat Shalom.